And that diversity has come from a desire. And that desire has led to an cosmic action. And that cosmic action has a force behind it, energy behind it. So, this Parabrahma, there is wisdom, there is action, and there is energy. Wisdom, that is head, intellect. Action, that is your hands. And energy, that is your heart. So this Parabrahma, its true nature is jnana, wisdom. Action, kriya. And shakti, bala, energy. The next word that Sri Krishna has explained in chapter 8 is how this action works. So he has explained the word karma, which is a very important word for Bhagavad Gita. And in fact, just not Bhagavad Gita, these days everywhere people are using the word karma. If you are a yoga teacher, or even if you are not a yoga teacher, most of the people in the world, even if you don't speak Sanskrit or Hindi or Indian language, you still understand what is karma. So he has explained this word karma, and it's a very logical explanation. He's saying that this Paramatma, when he is creating this manifest world, and especially in this manifested world, the Bhuta Matra is the living beings. When these living beings are created, that action of creation is called karma. And it's not just once, it's sequential. It goes step by step. First, aham, I, that Paramatma, ekoham bahusyam, I am one, I want to become many. That I gave rise to intellect, wisdom. That gave rise to mana, a thought. That gave rise to akash. Akash is space. The space gave rise to vayu, the medium, the air. That gave rise to teja, the agni, the fire. Fire gave rise to apa, water. And water made Prithvi, the earth. So this is a sequential expression of Paramatma creating the living beings. And this is called karma. Then another word is explained here is Adhibhuta. Adhibhuta is the material world that we talk about. The Jada Srushti, the living beings themselves are called Adhibhuta. Then next word is Adhidaivata. Adhidaivata word is used for Atma, for that dimension of Paramatma that is in us. Or Sankhyas use the word as Purusha. Or in Tantra the word used is Shiva, the consciousness. So from the cosmos, what I am made up of. This is the journey that is explained in this chapter 8. Then another word that is explained here is Adhi Yajna. Now this Adhi Yajna is a very interesting word. Yajna we saw, Yajna is a concept of selfless action without any fruits, attachment to the fruit, and done as a dharma. So this Adhi Yajna is the Paramatma himself or herself residing in you. So that Atma is nothing but Adhiyajna. What is this Adhiyajna? It's a one object leading to another object. That another object creating another object. You have to dissolve something to create something new. And it's a continuous process. You eat food, that food is transformed into energy. That energy is transformed into, say, different forms in your body. So the food gets converted to blood, blood gets converted to your muscles, muscles get converted to fats and other tissues, then that gets converted to bones, that gets converted to nerves, and so on and so forth. So every object has to destroy itself to give rise to a new creation. And if you look around in the cosmos, the same thing is happening everywhere. Nothing is constant. Nothing is same. Every object is being used to create something new. If you look at this law of conservation of energy in physics, saying the same thing. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can change form from one form to another form. This is exactly what yajna means. The form is just changing. Later on, Einstein added the theory of relativity, finding that E is equal to mc square, and he said that energy is directly proportional to mass. So there is a interconvertibility between energy and mass. So now this law of conservation of energy can be again understood, that is, mass and energy, they just interconvert from one form to another form, but as a whole they remain same. So as such, yajna is just a process of transformation, and it's a circular motion. So nothing is escaping. And this is exactly how we should understand the cosmic life and our life. Now if you look at this, all this word, Adi Yajna, Adi Daivat, Adi Bhuta, it gives you a very big picture. Who you are, where do you come from, what your cells are about, what your mind is about, what your intellect is about, what is this wisdom inside you is about, and what is this connection of all of these things inside you with the outside reality. And now this understanding is something that will tell us to look at different objects in a different way. When I look at chocolate, I see it's going to fulfill my desires. But when I understand all this philosophy, I realize it's nothing but another object created by the Paramatma. It has the same atoms, has the same energy function in it. So there's no really big discrimination. Oh, this is good and that is bad. If you keep continuously thinking about these forms and look around, you can certainly control your kama and krodha. You can certainly control your ego, certainly get rid of that ego. That will lead to no fear. That will lead to no worries, no anxiety dimension. And this will allow your mind and your intellect to change how you look at things. Take the example of Buddha. He was depressed in his life as a king, as a prince, because he saw this death, he saw this sickness, he saw this old age, and that made him depressed. But then he became Buddha. He did many meditation practices, he followed many austerities, very tough life he lived in forest. Then he became a wise man, and then he came back to society. How was his perception of the society? It changed. He did see many old people after that. That did not depress him. He did see many deaths after that. That did not depress him. That did not create this fear. That did not create this negative expression. People know that when Buddha was alive, he was in society, he was a very sensitive man, but without any attachment. He moved from one place to another place continuously. There was no reason for attachment, but that does not mean that he was not sensitive. He was very sensitive. His energy influenced people in a very positive way. Why? Because his perception of looking at every object and every person and everything in the mother nature had undergone a tremendous transformation. And that transformation is based on these ideas. That's exactly what Sri Krishna is saying. The next subject of chapter 8 is very interesting. Sri Krishna is talking about time of death. Now you will say, what is it? Cosmic life and suddenly talking about time of death? There's a reason that he is talking about the state of your mind when you're dying. Because when a person dies, whatever he's loved in his life, whatever he's got in his life or whatever he's missed in his life, the most close subject to his heart is what comes to his mind at the time of death. All his intense attachments influence his mind at that time. And Shri Krishna is saying that this time is very, very critical. To make this time positive, because generally everyone die, and every one of us, we fear death. The people who die, they also cry. No one wants to die, except a yogi. A very beautiful verse is there by another great sage. His name was Kabir, Sant Kabir. And he says, Kabira jab hum paida hue, jagah se hum roe. Aisi karani kar chalo, hum hase jag roe. Again, Kabira has talked about the same idea of death. And he's actually summarized what Shri Krishna is saying in this thinking of death and death timing. So Kabira says that when you are born, the baby, when is born, is crying. And when the baby is crying, still everyone around is smiling. They are happy that the baby is born. Baby is crying. Everyone is happy. You're smiling. He says your karmas should be such all through your life that when the time of death comes, you are smiling and the rest, everyone around you is crying. Summarizes. Everyone is crying means they are going to miss you. It means you have touched their heart. Touching the heart is only possible with purity of your karmas. Non-attached, selfless karmas done with unconditional love. That only makes someone cry. And you are smiling. That shows you have non-attachment. You know you are going to leave everything back. That's non-attachment. When a baby is born, it comes without anything. You live at the time of death, you live without anything. And this is a very important discussion of last section of chapter 8. So Shri Krishna is saying that when you die, Agni should be there. Agni is fire. But fire is a symbol of yajna. So Shri Krishna is saying when you die, you should die while doing your karma yoga. It's a good sign. We had a president. His name was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was a teacher. He was a scientist. He was one of the highest respected scientists in India, who's also called Missile Man. He's credited with all these great missile development achievements of this organization called DRDO. He was very well studied man with Bhagavad Gita. Interesting thing, he said that he wanted to die while he's teaching. This was his wish. And exactly that's what happened. He died while he was teaching. He was conducting a session. This is exactly what Shri Krishna says, that select a time of death, like when you're doing your karma yoga. The second thing he says, Surya, the sun. Sun is a symbolic of intelligence. Gayatri mantra, the mantra of intelligence. That means when you die, your intellect should not go down. The intelligence should go up. The wisdom is increasing. The moon, Chandra also is talked about the time of death. You should have these energies in positive form. That's what Shri Krishna has said. The Agni should be in positive form. The Surya, the sun, in a positive way. The Chandra, moon, in a positive way. What is moon? Moon is a representation of mind and emotions. So your mind should have positivity. Your emotions should be positive. When we die, we are scared. When we are going to die, we are sad. But if the Chandra, the moon is positive, everything is opposite. You are happy. You have unconditional love. You have non-attachment. You have peace. You have contentment. So Sri Krishna has connected the whole of your life efforts, karmas, to your death time. The life, if it is lived as a karma yoga, then the timing of the death, you can be so positive. And then Sri Krishna says one more last interesting subject, and that subject is about Om. And Sri Krishna describes Om as Ekakshara Brahma. And he says the yogi who understands the Paramatma, who understands Karma Yoga principles, who have lived his life with Karma Yoga, how does he die? He says he sits in a meditative pose, controls all the 9 doors of his body. I told you the doors, the 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, urinary and excretory organs. Restraining all of that. Focusing the mind in the heart, bringing the mind in the heart, the prana in your head, and chanting Om, because Om is Ekakshara Brahma. Om is 1 letter Parabrahma. So Sri Krishna has given this description. By doing this, the yogi leaves his body. And if he leaves his body, then he never comes back to this manifested world. He goes to the unmanifest dimension of the world, where time and space don't exist. If you see this description of Samadhi, it's very similar to time and space non-existent. And this is Paramatma Pada, the highest state that consciousness can reach. And that goes to Akshara Parabrahma, the cosmic dimension. So this is about chapter 8. And I'm going to stop here.